Not feeling well today, but I decided to do something very different, a very throwaway video looking at some music instead of Pokemon cards. And I'm looking at the works of Alice Cooper from the 20th century. Alice was the first artist I ever bought an album by back in 1973. I bought a double album called School Days, which was Pretties for You and Easy Action, his first two albums. And my mother was so appalled, she made me get rid of the album, but I bought it again. I bought the albums again quite quickly after that. Anyway, so Alice Cooper has been in my life since I started appreciating music, and he's incredibly dear to my heart. So that's why I'm doing an album thing. I'm not going to talk a lot about the albums because really either you're here, well, you're probably not here because nobody will watch this. That's fine. But you're probably here if you stumbled upon this because you're an Alice Cooper fan, so you don't need me to tell you about the albums. I'm just going to tell you what I think. I'm doing just the 20th century ones because although I've bought most of his albums in the 21st century, some of them are very good, but they haven't really appealed to me in the same way that the albums from my childhood have. I picked out three that I particularly liked from the very beginning of the 21st century, which were Brutal Planet. I really like that one, actually. That's got an interesting sound to it, the Alice Cooper. Did enjoy that one. And I enjoyed Dragontown a lot. So those are some albums from the second half of his career. But we're really looking at the classic albums. So I've picked the 15 that mean a lot to me. There's a couple that are not on this list that I didn't like as much as some other people who are old-time Alice Cooper fans liked. But, and yeah. So let me see. We'll go from 15 down to 1. And I'll be very quick about this. So I put Lace and Whiskey at 15. It was a drop-off of quality for Alice at the time. I think he was suffering from alcoholism, and it's not as good as the other ones around this period, but there's one real stinker, Ubangi Stomp, but there's some really great tracks on here. So the actual title track, Lace and Whiskey, is a great track. So I've put that at number 15. And number 14, I've put the classic Pretties for You, his first album, or their first album, because it was the Alice Cooper Group, which is such a weird album under Frank Zappa's guidance. And but it means a lot to me. As I say, it was the first time I ever heard Alice Cooper was this album, which is a very weird entry to Alice Cooper. But I actually quite like it, even though it's absolutely almost unlistenable, but it's good. 13, his return to the big stage with commercial success, and it's very good. It's got some really good tracks on it, and Poison is a great track, Desmond Child. Then I put Hey Stupid, which was the follow-up from 91, and put this at number 11. It's very much of its time, early 90s production, but there are some fantastic tracks on here, and Steve Vai's on here, so that's going to obviously appeal to me. So what is my favourite track on here? Might as well be on Mars is a pretty good track, but I love every track on this album. Really good album. And then at 11, I think, Easy Action. This was the start of Alice Cooper Group finding their sound, really, because Pretties for You was just too experimental, but there's some great tracks on here. And I have very fond memories of this album that's been in my life for 50 years. Right, so the top 10. At number 10, wouldn't make most people's top 10, but it does mine because of nostalgia. Very strange. I love Flush the Fashion. Not going to say anything more about it, but it means a lot to me. At number 9, the Last Temptation in '94, which came with comics and stuff, and I thought this was an incredibly solid hard rock album. Chris Cornell's on here, Unholy War, but the production of this album is really good, and there's some great songwriting on here. So that is that. And next up is at number 8, the last album by the Alice Cooper Group. Often overlooked as a fall of quality, as they were battling their demons, I think Alice and Glenn especially, but there are some absolutely stunning tracks on here. Hard-Hearted Alice is a beautiful song. Muscle of Love itself is an amazing track. Yeah, absolutely love this album. Great album. Overlooked, I would say. Then I've got Goes to Hell, which I was a particular age when this came out, and this just hugely appealed to me. I'd started getting into Dungeons and Dragons, I associate with this, in the late 70s. So this was 76. Oh, I love this album. I mean, You Gotta Dance is not a great track. I'm the Coolest, the shuffle of I'm the Coolest is not a great track, perhaps, but I love it. And Wish You Were Here, great track. I mean, everything on it. Don't knock it. I love it. Classic album. Oh my god, this is such a good album. Everything from here on in is just killer, brilliant albums. So, yeah, Ballad of Dwight Fry. What more do you need to say? But I mean, there's nothing bad on here. Except do I like Sunrise? No, I don't. But everything else, oh my god, and it's produced so well. Brilliant album. Right, so we're on number 5, aren't we? Number 5. Often put higher than the 5. I do love it, obviously. It's at number 5. Only Women Bleed is just the most incredible track, as is Years Ago and Stephen. And I mean, Department of Youth is probably the weakest track on here, or Some Folks. I think that's probably because there are those two tracks. Some Folks, Department of Youth, which are a little bit hokey. It doesn't get higher than 5, but it is such an amazing album. Then it gets really hard because the last 4 are basically flawless albums. You can't fault them. So at number 4, I've put Schools Out. It almost feels disrespectful to put any of these anywhere but number 1. But Schools Out. What can you say? My Stars. My God, that's a great track. Blue Turk. Great track. Alma Mater. Great track. Looney Tune. Oh my God, that's such a good track. So yeah, this is a flawless 35 minutes or so of music. Amazing. At number 3, I've got $1 Billion Baby. Rubber Little Monster. Yeah, the production on this is stunning. The title track, $1 Billion Babies, oh my God. Unfinished Suite, oh my God. Generational Landslide, I Love the Dead. I mean, my favourite track on here is actually Hello Hooray. But really, there's nothing but perfect music on that album, or any of these top 5 albums. Number 2, I have put Killer. The title track is my favourite track on here. But how you can have I mean, there's nothing really bad on here. Perhaps, yeah, little bit, but no. It's a fantastic album. So powerful. Which means that my number 1 album, and it's not everybody's number 1 album, I know, but it's my number 1 album. It means so much to me. Here's 1978 from the inside, which has the Elton John band and Bernie Taupin helping out with some of the lyrics, and Marcella Detroit on Millie and Billy. And I absolutely adore this album. It actually makes me cry. It is so good. So, The Quiet Room, Inmates, How You Gonna See Me Now, From the Inside itself, everything. It's just religious experience for me. So that's my top album. So no, I haven't put Dada in there, and I haven't put what's the other weird one? Yeah, I saw someone actually rate Zipper Catcher's Skin as their number one, which just no. I'm sorry. That whole period, Special Forces through to Dada, actually hurts to listen to a lot of the time because Alice was obviously struggling with his health and his mental health, and he really wasn't there. They have their charm of the period, but especially Zipper Catcher's Skin. I don't see the merit of rating that high, or Special Forces. There's so many weak points on Special Forces. There's moments of it, but anyway, so that's my look at what I rank of Alice Cooper's 20th century albums. And as I say, nobody's watching this, so I don't care. It's for me.